In this episode of the Daniel Smith's Primatek Season 2 series, we are going to be taking a close look at Red Fuchsite. Daniel Smith writes about Red Fuchsite as, "The mountains of Brazil yield a beloved and treasured gemstone. Paint this reddish dusky rose and watch as the mineral iridescent sheen rises to the surface of your brushstroke. This color from our Primatek line of authentic mineral pigments gives new definitions to sky, botanicals and reflections. It is classified as Series 3, excellent in light fastness, transparent, non-staining and granulating." Welcome back, the paints have dried and this is Red Fuchsite. I have to say, I am in love with this colour. I do spend a lot of time falling in love with paints and paint colours without any specific use in mind, and this is definitely one of those colours. It is such a gorgeous, yummy, dusky, rosy, pinky colour with lots of sparkle that honestly, if this was available in an eyeshadow, I would buy it in a heartbeat. Or lip gloss, I don't mind what it is. Just give me this colour in makeup and it will be lovely. I knew this was my favourite colour from the start when we did the swatches back in December. When we did these swatches, I knew this was like my favourite colour because it was so pretty. In terms of the sparkle, let's show you this first. Can you see the sparkle? There we go. There's a ton of sparkle in this colour. Lovely, gorgeous sparkles everywhere. Ton of sparkle, lovely colour. In terms of gradation though, it was quite hard to control how it gradated. Normally, I do it in 4 stages, and with a colour that is easy to gradate, you get 4 clear stages of different intensity. However, here it looks more like I have 1 stage and then the rest is pretty much the same colour. I think the pigment might be quite heavy and therefore it doesn't run through the water quite as much when you come to gradate it. And the same can be said for the hot press and arch. The rough seem to do a little bit better, but I think if you want to gradate this better, you're gonna have to pull more paint down. Maybe use gravity if you can to help the pigment along compared to other colors. In terms of hue, we have these, and there isn't really a similar color to the Red Fuchsite in the Primatek range. I think the closest, if I had to pick one, is the Piemontite, but as you will see later in this series, it's a very different color in behavior. In terms of other colors from Daniel Smith, if I had to pick a color that's the most closest out of this range, it would be the Quinacridone Burnt Scarlet, but it's a completely different color. Holbein. Yeah, I think Red Fuchsite is a quite unique color in terms of hue compared to other colors. If I had to pick a closest color, it would be Potter's Pink, but with a lot more intensity and definitely a lot more sparkle. In terms of opacity, it is transparent except for the sparkle, which you can see more on a black background just because it's more contrast. In terms of staining, it says non-staining according to Daniel Smith. However, I would say it's low staining because I couldn't get it all the way back to white, and you will see later on in this series of colors that will go pretty much back to white. Now those are the colors I would classify as non-staining, and this I would classify as low staining. In terms of glazing, it lifts quite easily because it is only low staining, and therefore you do get that outline that is paler than the inside bit that we've talked about in earlier episodes. So it's not the most ideal for glazing. If you're going to use this, use it in single shots. As far as gauzing goes, it gauzes beautifully. All the darker pigment really collects up into the gauze and settles on the paper. So it's very beautiful, very good for gauzing. Salt, I would say this is a low reaction or probably medium reaction to salt. However, it is very pretty pattern. The reactions are localized into tiny areas compared to, say, the last video where we saw the garnet where the reaction was all over and quite large. So I would recommend using salt with Red Fuchsite if that's a thing that takes your fancy. In terms of dropping the paint into a puddle of water, it didn't move much, and you can see that by the fact that the background isn't colored that much. As I experienced with the gradation, I think the pigment is a little bit heavier than other colors that we've tried, and it just sits on the place where you put it, which if you like more control and you like paints to not run away from you when you're trying to paint in wet, then this is a great paint. Now, always my favorite bit, the color mixes. I think the Red Fuchsite makes the prettiest, soft, gentle, very feminine color palette, and it is gorgeous. I adore it. I love it. I especially love how it mixed with the cadmium yellow light. It creates this really warm orangey yellow, but it's not too orangey, it's just right. If you are going for a fresh spring look in your painting, the Red Fuchsite will be a great mother color to use to mix with all the other colors you're going to use in that painting, so that you can create a very cohesive and very fresh spring looking palette. So what do I think of this color? I love this color. If you haven't noticed yet, I adore this color. It is such a pretty color. It is gorgeous. I can just stare at the swatch itself forever because of how pretty this color is. I think it's also quite a versatile paint in that it reacts well with most tests except for the glazing. Don't try glazing with it. However, in terms of practical use, I think jury's still out about how useful sparkly paints are in general. And if you don't have a use for sparkly paints in your art practice, then the Red Fuchsite is definitely out because it's so overtly sparkly that there is no hiding from the fact that it's sparkly. However, if you do have a use for sparkly paints in your art practice, I think you should give this one a go because it is beautiful, it's gorgeous, and it mixes well with other colors. For myself personally, I still haven't found a use for sparkles yet in my art practice. So for now, I will be not putting the Red Fuchsite into my palette. However, you can bet on the fact that if I find a sparkly use in my art practice, then I will be putting this color straight onto my palette and it will live there quite happily, and I will just love it because it's so pretty. I imagine if you paint more whimsically and with fairies and soft things, then this is a brilliant color for you as well. So that's it for Red Fuchsite. What did you think of this color? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you have a use for sparkles in your art practice? If you do, let us know in the comments down below what you use it for and what you would use this particular paint for. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Red Fuchsite Genuine by Daniel Smith. If you have, do give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!